Welcome to Project IGI, where stealth is optimal, explosions are mandatory, and the AI has the situational awareness of a drunk pigeon. We play as David Jones, a retired Special Forces operative who's apparently forgotten how to crouch. The mission is straightforward: infiltrate enemy bases, gather intel, rescue a few boneheads, and try not to die in the most embarrassing way possible. This game has taught me two things: stealth is overrated, and the Geneva Convention is more of a guideline than a rulebook. With cutting-edge graphics and AI that's about as sharp as a spoon, this 2000s game is giving Call of Duty Black Ops 6 a run for its money. I've never seen an HQ so sophisticated it seems entirely fictional. Now that I was sure my amazing intro had caught your attention, it was time to jump into the first mission, which apparently had a top priority. Well, at least that's what she said.
Yeah,
I was
boy.
congratulated on my punctuality, which is a skill every special ops like me possesses. Our target is Joseph Preboy, who I was to locate and return for debriefing. Joseph is apparently a very important guy because he's our only link with the heist of the warhead. I then received word that Joseph was being held in a military airfield with excellent air defense, so they couldn't just drop me straight into the base to pick him out right there, which means I had to find my own ground strategy to get to him. My first task was to steal a ground vehicle held up in a goods yard, and I was to avoid the cameras at all costs and keep the mission as brief and quiet as possible. I proceeded to carry on with the mission, but I had no idea what was in store for me. No amount of Special Forces training could have prepared me for this. The ladder. This took arguably the longest time for me to figure out how the ladder works. This was so intense, I was under more pressure than when I was working as a foam diffuser back in the day when the wires didn't have colors, so you had to go off your gut feelings. Like any highly advanced special ops operative, I decided to fire a few shots at the ladder and stab it a few times before it finally gave in and let me climb on top of it. I mean, to the top of it. These had to be some of the smoothest animations you've ever seen. I mean, just look at the way he climbs up the ladder. Such confidence. Once I reached the top, it was time to execute my brilliant plan and slip through the defenses unnoticed. As a skilled Special Forces operative, this was set out to be one of my easiest missions ever. After letting the outdated AI intentionally kill me multiple times so I could repeat the game over and over again, I finally decided to take things seriously and started making my way through the mission. It seems I underestimated the AI and it seemed to be adapting to efficiently killing me, as I didn't expect this ambush as I made my grand entrance. I quickly panicked like any professional in this situation and calmly dealt with the guard. These walls must be soundproof because bro definitely didn't hear his mate getting murdered in the next room. Honestly, I didn't know if I should kill him or wait for him to buy a drink, steal it, and run away screaming, "Change your name to Modest Pelican." I then proceeded to turn off all the cameras with my hardcore hacking skills I acquired from watching a ton of Instagram reels. With the cameras off, I had precisely 2 minutes to make my way to whatever I was sent here for. Halfway through that sentence, I forgot what my objective was. It was obvious that going in guns blazing wasn't really going to help me, so I decided to become one with the game. I locked in so hard even Goggins had me grinding. I couldn't believe how easy it was to get to the first two stages. I've used this same technique on the guard at the gates so many times that I decided to fire him. Like, you can't be an absolute donkey in both your work and social life. That's being greedy. Pick one. I found so many of these warehouses with a lot of crates that contained absolutely nothing. You have to credit the creative minds behind these games. Turns out the 2-minute timer for the cameras had elapsed, so they were back online and I had to manually turn them off again. By this point, I was really getting tired of the game. Not because it was proving challenging, but it was getting pretty boring, so I decided to go on a little speed run. Don't ask me for the final time. Finally, I had made it to the first stage. On to the second stage of the mission, and if you couldn't tell, I'm extremely frustrated with this game, but I decided to push on. This one was rather simple, really. I just had to pick up some C4s, plant them on these tanks and proceed. Before planting the final C4, I realized something. I'd never really killed anyone with a knife, and I wasn't going to stand for that. That was completely absurd. This knife is going deep into somebody. So I snuck up behind the guard so he wouldn't see me coming, but I forgot that back shots were supposed to be from the back. Nonetheless, he seemed to enjoy himself. Just listen. There was more than 3 tanks all along, so I made my way to your mother's house and had her screaming after she swallowed the blueberry cake I baked. I bought the recipe back then when I was working inside your mother. And that's the story of how I met my dog, Ben.
That's another successful operation under my belt. Okay, Anya, tell me where Joseph is and I'll bring him out. Is there any news on the backup?
Surely you don't need anyone else's help. Your backup has just touched down in the capital. They're currently en route to you as we speak.
They should be with you in about 3 hours.
Just in time to clear up.
We've opened up the air corridor for Yosef's extraction. The task now is to find Yosef Preboy and bring him out for debriefing.
Your objectives are threefold. Infiltrate the installation without overly raising suspicion. Locate and free Yosef Preboy. Our agents have been on surveillance for the last 20 hours. They took this footage. I believe Yosef to be held in this building. He should be held in the basement.
Once you have Yosef in custody, escort him back to the FRV for chopper dust-off.
Stage 3. I originally thought I had completed 2 separate missions and I was heading into the third when I realized they were all stages of one mission. Determined to push to the end, I wasted no time and got straight to it. I couldn't help but notice all these locations were in the middle of nowhere and the game wasn't really being helpful with navigation. This time, I decided that stealth was the absolute way forward. The atmosphere was perfectly set up for a boss fight. I witnessed something absolutely horrendous, like I wasn't expecting this at all. He was fleeing from a fight. Out of pity for him, I casually went rockboarding down a 30-foot steep cliff cause I do this type of stuff all the time. I found these huge hangars containing a ton of jets and attempted to make my grand escape, but the game just wouldn't give. Joseph better be as valuable as they say he is, or I might just do something very dirty. Raiding this building was a lot easier than expected, considering it's the final level of the mission. Only too late to realize I hit the wrong building. Joseph was in another building all the way across the airfield. After murdering innocent military officials, I casually made my way to the building where Joseph was being held, only to realize I've been focused on this for way too long. I'm a Gen Z. My attention span is as low as the average American sneaking capacity. I probably won't be playing this game again, and by that I mean I deleted it by the time I was uploading this video. If there's anything about Gen Zs, it's that we never finish.